2024 U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau!
Gosh, I'm trying to hold it in right now. The support's been overwhelming.
Tickets for Nashville this week are nearly sold out. We are calling this the Bryson effect.
Won the Saudi Open on the Asian Tour in April, and he won the International Series event in Macau in March, beating David Puig in a playoff. Here's a man with 9 career wins, 3 of them on the DP World Tour. 33 years of age from Sacramento, and he is making the most of his chance.
And remember, John Catlin playing as a reserve for Charles Howell III, who's injured. If he were to go on to win this, he gets those points. That would move him right at the top 24 number. Move him to 20th currently. Yeah, another beautiful shot. These guys make this look so easy.
Having a day. The Englishman, 6 under par. He shares the lead with Abraham Ancer for the time being at least. Now this is Abraham Ancer to stay at 7 under and in all likelihood have the overnight lead. And that is wonderfully done. Abe Ancer with a 64.
This is what Live Golf's about, man. I had a vision of this 2-3 years ago, seeing what the potential could be, and this is just the start. I mean, with how much support we have out here, and it's just the start, that's a testament to what Live Golf is and what the Crushers are doing, what our team's doing, and what we're trying to do for Nashville and places all across the globe. So super excited for the future of Live.
What's up, everyone? Welcome in. This is SportsGrid. You know that by now. And this is Game Time Decisions. Adam Kaufman here with you for the next couple of hours. A loaded show. We are going to have so many guests for you between now and 8 o'clock Eastern, breaking down everything you need to know. We are going to extensively dive into a big 10-game slate in the National Basketball Association tonight. Coach is going to join us, James Young, hang out for a couple of segments. Whether he likes it or not, we're going to spend some time with Coach and get deep into what to expect as the NBA season still obviously in its infancy. There is one team, a certain champion, that is a clear-cut favorite amongst the rest. They don't play tonight, the Boston Celtics, though, fresh off yet another blowout win last night, but there are loads of hopefuls, contender hopefuls, that are in action tonight. We will talk about them and what to expect and which players are actually and which stars are participating tonight. It's a shorter slate in the NHL, however. We will talk just a little bit of hockey. We'll get some puck talk in. George Kurtz, Joe Madden, they're both going to join us. They will talk hockey as well as, of course, plenty of baseball. If you didn't know, and honestly, you'd be forgiven if you didn't, that the World Series actually begins tonight between the Yankees and Dodgers out in L.A., out west, because, listen, we haven't been really talking all that much baseball over the course of the last week. It's been preview, obviously, but fact of the matter is there are a lot of people, unless you are fans in those major markets of the Yankees and Dodgers, that to them, well, baseball season's kind of over. I know for me as a Red Sox fan, it ended months ago. But how do the people feel about this World Series? What should we expect? What's the right way to bet it? Should your money be on the dog tonight? That is New York at plus 110 on the money line. It is where I am personally invested. So again, plenty of opinions to come pertaining to that. We'll mix in a little bit of NFL as a big Sunday in front of us, some college football with some games tonight, and obviously a loaded Saturday coming up tomorrow. Tommy Lorenzo is going to join us. Tommy Lorenzen, pardon me, is going to join us, talk through some college football. We'll have Scott Wetzel on with us on some NFL a little bit later on. Let's just get into a little bit of NFL, because Thursday Night Football finally gave us a matchup that we could be excited about, that we could root for, that we could just, points, right? And that's what I expected. And we did hit the over in that one between the Vikings and the Rams. You see it on your screen right there, 50 total points. Now, it actually took a safety in the last couple minutes to get us over the total. We were pushing at 48, at least depending on where you got the number. That's where I was. So the safety put us over the top. But I'll tell you what, the safety, it was infuriating. And even I say that as someone that was on the Rams +3. I wanted more football. This was a fun game. Two teams that are really, really good. We know the Minnesota Vikings had been 5-0, obviously, and then dropped their last couple now with what was a field goal loss, the difference in that contest in the closing moments against the Lions. And then last night, another one that, was, I guess, in the end, a 2-score game, but it came down to the wire. And for those that watched it or have seen the replays going across social media and all of the blind ref stuff, it was so incredibly aggravating, especially for those of us that were chasing overs on certain player props and wanted to see more football for that reason as well. Definitely, if you were on the Vikings, you were beside yourself. A blatant face mask. I wish we could show it to you, but a blatant face mask of Sam Darnold in the end zone that obviously led to the safety. He was ripped down by a defender, but it was right in front of the official. I mean, truly, like if my camera, you see my hand, my camera's right here. That's how far away the official was from Sam Darnold. He was looking dead at him, right at him. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe he got distracted or maybe he felt his angle was off. He didn't make the call. And, we should have had an opportunity for the Vikings to drive, score a touchdown, 2-point conversion, force overtime, and again, get us more football. So again, if you were on the Rams, great. If you're on the Rams money line, all the better. If you were on the over, it hit. If you were on certain player overs like, Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, by all means. Now, personally, I was upset I didn't get the over on Aaron Jones. I thought we were going to get his rushing over. He fell about 6-7 yards short. But where there's, and this is just very specific, obviously, to the betting community, but where it felt like there was NFL malpractice going on as it related to injury reports and that sort of thing. We knew Cooper Kupp was going to play. Didn't know that between he and Puka Nacua, he was going to be the one that was more of the decoy out there. How annoying was that? The guy had 15 receiving yards at a certain point late in the fourth quarter before one big gain got him up over 50. But, I mean, nowhere near his over, obviously. Meanwhile, Nacua, who we didn't think was even going to play earlier in the week, and we find, he's going to be out there, but he's probably going to be on a pitch count, right? A snap count. He's not going to be used all that much. Maybe he's just out there as a decoy. And the books put his receiving yards out there. When they opened, they weren't even 30 yards. They were not even 30 yards. And then Matt Stafford, in typical Matt Stafford fashion, locks in on Nacua for basically that entire game. I mean, he absolutely, at a point in time, had tunnel vision for Nacua, especially in the first couple series of that contest. He cleared his over in the opening quarter. He had a monster performance. He went 7 catches, 9 targets, 106 yards. I don't even know if the books stateside allowed you to ladder him up to 100 yards last night. Imagine how much money you could have made if you did it. I didn't bother sprinkling even on the over for Nacua yards because I didn't know what he was going to look like. What he ended up looking like was someone who represented the lies that Sean McVay evidently was telling us the entire week because, again, he went out there and absolutely dominated. The thing is, though, I mentioned it, 2 straight losses for the Minnesota Vikings. Again, had been 5-0. It was them, the Chiefs, the 2 unbeatens, world beaters, the team that in those 5 wins had only trailed for a grand total of 3.5 minutes the entire season, automatic against the spread, yada, yada, yada. And now, in a couple of shootouts, a couple of high-scoring games, this Brian Flores blitz pressure defense has not looked very good with potent offenses to, in his defense on the other side, the Jared Goff-led Lions and the now healthy, apparently, Matt Stafford-led Rams. I mean, solid offenses on the other side, but you have to wonder, were the Vikings kind of pretenders all along? Are they legitimately contenders that we should consider to come out of the NFC? And the other thing that I found myself thinking about during the game last night, I don't know about anyone else out there if you did as well, but Sam Darnold, I feel like people owe him years worth of apologies for, Sam Darnold this was more of a Jets problem in ruining quarterbacks as that organization has year after year. Maybe ruining Aaron Rodgers in his 40s versus obviously what Darnold was capable of being. You know, nothing special, but not terrible in Carolina, not Jets bad in Carolina. That little cup of coffee last year with the Niners, obviously. And then this year, is he a byproduct of, again, the system and the weapons as he has in Minnesota and the protection of that O-line? Or is it obviously the whole Jets thing? And I don't know. Time will bear that out over the course of the year. But Darnold, one of these guys that clearly was just worthy of another chance. I would say second chance, but really this is like his fourth opportunity, or at least third if we're going to discount the Niners chance that he had there. But it has been interesting to watch with Minnesota. I hope they regroup, but happy the Rams did what they did. And I hope they continue over the course of the year to make some noise, because that would be a really fun team to see back in the playoffs again. And once again, Yankees-Dodgers World Series begins just over 2 hours from now in LA. Star-studded affair. Ohtani and Judge and Soto and Stanton and Betts, you name it. Who's going to win? The question is, do you care? We'll talk about baseball later, basketball next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back, Game Time Decisions G2D here on SportsGrid, and I am thrilled to, well, not be talking to myself and monologuing anymore, to be here with James Young, coach, who, of course, is, host of the Betting Above the Rim podcast. He's a host and analyst here on SportsGrid. Do I even need to introduce you? Anyone that is out there watching or listening to SportsGrid, Coach, knows exactly who the heck you are.
Well, you got me blushing, Adam. I don't know how to respond to that, but I'll be quiet because we got some basketball to talk about tonight.
10-gamer on the way, and some really interesting spots for sure. One that jumps out at me, and let's just start close to home for you, man. I thought my Celtics were going to beat your Knicks in the opener a few days ago. And I'm not saying I thought it was going to be the massacre that it was, but I thought Boston, riding the high and the ring ceremony, raising the banner, all that stuff, that ultimately it was going to be a Boston win and cover. And it was a short spread, 5.5, 6 points. The Knicks getting embarrassed the way that they did. Blown doors from the opening tip, it felt like. Outscored by 20 in the first quarter, only got worse from there. Jalen Brunson, opening night, man. He only plays 24 minutes. I expect a bounce back and then some tonight, especially at Madison Square Garden. I know the Pacers are good. Obviously, these teams met in the playoffs last year. Both sides are healthy. Your Knicks are working in new pieces, but the Knicks minus 4.5, up tempo as well. Look at over 228. This feels like a pace up, fun, high scoring spot that New York comes out in front. That's how I see it. What about you?
Listen, when you talk about this game, the one thing I liked about when the Knicks played the Celtics was I liked the over in the game because I looked at the fact of New York's defense is going to be compromised as good as they are because their rim protector, Mitchell Robinson, isn't there, right? And learning Tips' defensive scheme is not easy. So to me, I absolutely loved the over. I'm going to double back and go to the over again tonight. 227.5, 227 looks light to me, Adam, right? Because you think about the Knicks, the ability with Cat to stretch the floor, I think this plays over. I can see this game going into 230s. Listen, the Knicks were, you got to remember, folks, they lost by 30 or 25, whatever it was. They shot like 56% from the floor. They're going to make shots. Indiana don't play no damn defense. Over 227 and 227.5, depending on when you get it. And then the other thing I think people want to look at is I would look at Jalen Brunson's assist prop. If you look at the last game, they went to Cat more in the low block because of the advantage of Al Horford. I think because of the play of Miles Turner, I run more pick and pop if I'm Tibbs, and that leads to more assists. Jalen Brunson over his assist prop tonight.
How about the Sixers and Raptors? Now, let's remember, and for anyone that maybe is just casually getting into the NBA season while Philadelphia is being investigated for its practices with the injury report, Joel Embiid continues to be out. Paul George obviously not making his Philly debut quite yet. Sixers even still in Toronto are 5.5-point favorites, and the reason for that largely is twofold. It's Maxey and what he's capable of in leading that offense, and Andre Drummond, sort of the ghost of Andre Drummond, just as a big and what he can do, bringing back the dinosaur style of basketball. He had 13 rebounds in 25 minutes the last time out for Philadelphia in their season opener. What do you expect here tonight?
Well, the problem is that if you tried to play the double-double mark with Andre Drummond, forget it. That is long, long gone. Andre Drummond's rebounding prop is 14.5 on FanDuel. At plus 110. So I can't touch that. To me, if you look at the game number one, like besides Kelly Oubre, who's shooting the ball for the Sixers? Go look at the tape. Like Maxey was shooting the ball every time and anytime he wanted and didn't shoot the ball well. You go look at, obviously, unless they have Scotty Barnes guarding him, which I don't know if that's the case, even though Scotty's their best defender. IQ and RJ Barrett aren't known for their defensive prowess here. To me, 30-plus points for Tyrese Maxey. I got burned opening night. I get it back tonight. Tyrese Maxey, 30-plus points.
Suns and Lakers are a virtual pick'em late night, Coach. It's a 1.5-point spread. The hometown Lakers are favored. Now, this is honestly both of these teams I got wrong in their openers. I thought Minnesota was going to win outright in LA to start off the year. We saw the Lakers really in commanding fashion take care of that one on what was a pretty quiet night, all things considered, for LeBron James. It was Anthony Davis that just studded out and went for about 35 points. And then most recently, the Suns, I thought they were going to cover, almost rather easily in their first game. And instead, it took a monumental comeback to force overtime and win and not cover. Unfortunately, missed it by the hook. But nevertheless, the Suns here, we'll see what that trio of Durant and Beal and Booker all look like together, if they're all even out there. And there's some question marks about that. But LA favored by 1.5. Where do you go?
If he's playing, I'm going D-Book. I mean, listen, he only took 9 shots at him. He was in foul trouble throughout, fouled out, played 32 minutes, 15 points. A lot of what you guys know how I do it with is styles make fights, but matchups make fights. So when you go to the other side, who's chicken D-Book? Like that's what's in my mind. So bounce back performance from D-Book tonight. I think he plays extremely well. I was like you. I was wrong on this game as both teams opening night as well. I played the same thing you played. I think D-Book goes absolutely nuclear. Devin Booker over 24.5 points tonight.
Where's that volume come from, do you think? I mean, is it mid-range jumpers attacking the basket, or is he going to make it range from 3?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's going to be the 3-point shot. But that's where, if you want to go another way to look at it, is if you want plus money, folks, if he's going to get 24.5, then maybe over 2.5 made threes at plus 126 may be your play. Mm-hmm. Other people like Beal and Durant become playmakers. Remember, out of the 9 shots he took, 5 were from 3. The problem with Phoenix has always been, to me, the shot volume. You know how it is, Adam, in the NBA now. You got to shoot the 3. So over 2.5 made threes for Devin Booker plus 126, that could be on your card tonight.
We're going to keep talking NBA here with Coach James Young. There are some other games to get to. I'm sure some favorite spots and props that he would like to attack as well. It's just nice to have NBA basketball back. I know basketball didn't go away. We had the Olympics, obviously a wonderful W season, but the boys on the floor are back. More NBA talk on the way.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back here talking hoop, NBA on Game Time Decisions with the coach, James Young, of course, Betting Above the Rim podcast. Now, Coach, another interesting spot tonight that we have in front of us. I guess not as compelling as maybe some of those closer spreads. Milwaukee at home, a heavy favorite, 9.5 against Chicago, and we expect to see Giannis back out there. Obviously, there were some question marks as to whether he would play in the opener, and he looked especially early like his usual self. Chris Middleton We'll see exactly what that looks like. If he is not out there, Brook Lopez is not going to play for Milwaukee. For Chicago, no Lonzo Ball. He just got back, not playing consecutive games, all that stuff. What do you make of this game?
Chicago should be punting. They should have punted 2 damn years ago. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, to me, this is a spot for Milwaukee. Minus 9.5. Chicago's not very good. They should be tanking like crazy. To me, it's about the play of Bazelis, who barely got a lot of time in. So to me, Milwaukee is a player minus 9.5 points. If you want to start looking at something like a big boost double-double, you can, but it really isn't usually value with Vucevic in the double-double market because it's just he seems to get it almost every night. So you probably can't even play it. It's minus 130, so maybe take a stab at that. But I think that's all I would do is maybe boost double-double. But to me, it's more about the play of Milwaukee. Milwaukee minus 9.5. They should roll them tonight.
Grizzlies and Rockets, and we get to see Zach Edey again, hopefully a little longer. Fouled out his NBA debut. Guys, was an automatic foul in 15 minutes. Rockets are 3.5-point favorites. Is the over the play, 226.5?
I'm not sure. I don't think so because I think Ime is a pretty good defensive coach. To me, you're looking at what can you get in this matchup at the center position, right? Şengün versus Zach Edey. Obviously, Zach Edey, 5 points, 5 rebounds. Şengün with an absolute monster game, but can he get a double-double here against someone that's 7'4"? A guy like Şengün struggles with bigger bigs. I'm going to take a stab at this. I expect a better Zach Edey performance. Zach Edey double-double at plus 470 because Şengün struggles with bigger bigs. Just get him involved, stay out of foul trouble. If he's out of foul trouble, he gets there. Bounce back spot tonight for Zach Edey.
Pistons getting 11 at Cleveland, first of a back-to-back for Detroit. They've got the Celtics at home tomorrow, as a matter of fact. What do you make of Cade Cunningham in this game? How do you attack him?
Well, listen, I think with Cade, when you're looking at a team like Cleveland, right, they don't have strong defenders. But to me, when you look at this game, this is the game that I think could go under. Because I think in regard to the fact that that J.B. Bickerstaff knows the Cleveland players better than anyone else because, he obviously just coached them last year. And there should be a little bit of a revenge factor here. I think this game actually slows down. It should be really competitive. Detroit looked good. Like, they only lost, I think, by 6, I do believe, opening night, 115-109 to Indiana. So I think this game actually goes under tonight. Give me under 225.5.
So lose a star, get a star. That's the New Orleans Pelicans story right now. DeJounte Murray in his debut unfortunately went down. He's going to miss significant time with an injury. But Zion Williamson, who missed the season opener, is now ready, supposedly. Until he gets ruled out anyway, he is going to play. 6.5-point favorites, the Pelicans at Portland. The Blazers are no good. We know that. But what does Zion's presence do for this Pelicans team tonight with no DeJounte?
I mean, it should make them better. I mean, listen, if you look at in order for you to get plus money for anything, you have to go over 25 points, right? 25 plus is minus 105 right now. So to me, the only concern about this is Portland is so damn bad. It's between them and the Wizards and the Nets on who is the worst team in the association. To me, I look squarely at the fact that I think the New Orleans Pelicans cover. But Denny Avdija, you got to remember, Chauncey Billups said could be the best player on the team. 14.5 hit opening game. I think it's there again. 15 plus minus 105.
Coach, before we let you go, I've thrown a lot of games at you. We didn't quite get to all of them, but what are some of your favorite plays tonight if you could only play a few?
Oh, my God. The Warriors only giving 5.5 at Utah? I mean, you want to talk about a team that's sticking up. Go take them and listen. Brooklyn, you can't take the spread. Just take their points total scored under. Magic, one of the best teams defensively in the league.
Coach James Young, again, host and analyst here on SportsGrid, host the Betting Above the Rim podcast. He is on Twitter at Coach Young NJ. Coach, always enjoy spending some time with you, man.
lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
A lot of great stuff out of Coach James Young. Always fun when JY stops by. It is Game Time Decisions. Adam Kaufman here with you. And if you are watching across SportsGrid TV, SportsGrid Television Network, or listening on SiriusXM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio, we greatly appreciate you. Either way, thanks for being here with us. We got another hour and change to go and a lot of different topics to get into, including college football. The week that continues, because as we know, the new week in college football, it's already underway. And to help us break it down here, it is Tommy Lorenzo. You can get him on Twitter at SportsbookTom. He hosts the Cover the Weekend Sports Betting Podcast. He's just out there making people money, which really is what you want from handicappers. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Dodgers tonight, World Series, college football, great time of the year, and ready to talk some college football. Some good games this week.
I guess with that hat, I don't need to ask you who you're rooting for. So, we'll see how that series goes. We're going to be talking plenty of baseball here on the show tonight coming up in a little bit. But like you said, there are a lot of fun college football games on the way. Obviously, pardon me, it's a busy, busy Saturday in front of us. But we do have some games tonight, including one team in the top 25, Boise State at UNLV. Laying 4, and I'm on the Boise State side. Not a big play, but that's just how I lean in this particular game. Where I've seen people really kind of butting heads is on the total at 63.5. What's your view of the world in this one?
Well, yeah, great game, and UNLV, you have to give them a lot of credit for the way they've been playing, especially their defense. And it's going to be a clash of two strengths here. UNLV is very good against the run, and obviously Boise State, I think they're still number 1 in the nation. They have the best running back in the nation, a top Heisman candidate as well. So I'm really fascinated to see how all that plays out with UNLV's run defense going up against such a powerful running offense. But that being said, I think the under's in play here. I think the total's a little too high. I could see this game maybe hitting mid-50s to high 50s, but getting in over 63.5, 64, 65, I think is a little too much here. I think UNLV will really focus on stopping the run because that's Boise State's strength, and UNLV has the tools to do that. How effective they'll be doing that, I mean, I don't know if they're going to completely shut Boise State down, but I think Boise State won't have that easy of a time that they've had against other teams running the ball, which in turn I think will keep the total somewhat under control.
We've got some marquee matchups in the top 25 this weekend with teams within the top 25 going head-to-head, including Notre Dame and Navy. It's a big spread, 13.5, with the road Fighting Irish favored, and so obviously the expectation is that Notre Dame is going to run away with this one. Do you see it the same way, or do you think Navy can put up a fight?
I think Navy can put up a fight for a short time. And the line here has been pretty interesting because it got all the way down to 12.5, minus 12.5 for Notre Dame. And now it's crept back up to 13.5. I saw one spot at 14. I think the key thing here is that the jump up in class for Navy is substantial. UAB, Bucknell, Temple, they've not really played strong teams, yet their defensive numbers are still not very strong overall. I think they're in the 70s or 80s in terms of total defense. I think 81 against the run. So their defensive numbers are pretty underwhelming. You got to give them credit. They beat who they've had in front of them. So, and they've been playing very well. But I think the step up in class here is going to be a little too much. And they're going to also see a defense like they've not seen in any of the aforementioned teams that I mentioned. So I'm on Notre Dame here. I think they clear it. If it gets up beyond 14 points, I'm off. I got them at a lower number, which I'm good with. But if it clears 14, which I think it might, that line is moving, then I would probably back off. But as long as it's 14 or less, I think Notre Dame's a play.
Alabama, Tommy, is a team that is in transition right now. We know that. New coaching staff as compared to the Nick Saban era. And just sort of, looking back at last year, it obviously there's a lot of the same talent there, most especially a quarterback with Jalen Milroe. I just feel like this team has taken such a step back from what we saw last year across the board. I week after week, not terribly impressive. And I realize still a top 25 team, although middle of those rankings right now at number 17. Or 15, I should say. I'm not sure that Bama deserves to be laying 17 points, even at home in Tuscaloosa against Missouri. Do you see it differently?
Yeah, it is a lot of points, and Bama's been inconsistent at best. You see their performance against Georgia, and then they lay some eggs, very inconsistent. That's really been the story of their QB, Milroe, as well, Jaden Milroe. He looks like a Heisman candidate, and then he comes back in some games. I don't know if he's not focused, or maybe it's just the game plan doesn't suit him. And again, like you say, they just don't look that great. The problem I have with Mizzou is the injuries. Their injuries at quarterback, the running backs banged up. Brady Cook is likely out for this game, their starting quarterback. So I think that's why it's a tricky spot if you're a sports bettor, because, yeah, the 17.5 is a lot. Frankly, I'd probably lean with Bama. I just think Missouri has injuries in key spots, and I think Alabama is primed to give a good performance, especially at home against a team like Mizzou. I'll just call it a strong lean. If I do make a bet on it, it won't be a big one, but I just think the injury concerns on Missouri's side would lead me to think Alabama's going to put up a good performance and cover the big number.
Much earlier in the year, we saw Vanderbilt lose at Georgia State, but man, that was a different squad, wasn't it? I mean, they're super competitive with Missouri, a game that ends in overtime. They lose by a field goal, but after that, outright upset Alabama, that team that inconsistent at best, as you said, that we were talking about before. Took care of Kentucky in a game that the Wildcats were heavily favored, and then we see them knock off Ball State by 10 in a less surprising contest. But now, even though at home, it's Texas. And Texas is obviously not a team that you, well, like they say, you don't mess with Texas, right? Texas is a 17.5-point favorite. I don't see Vandy doing what it did to Alabama here, but can it stay close enough to cover the 2.5 touchdowns?
Look, I'm not a big lay up the big number type guy. I always look at underdogs or small favorites that I think will give a good performance. I cannot get behind Vanderbilt here. Understood what they've done before, but their underlying numbers just still aren't there statistically for me to get behind them to do anything against a Texas team that's going to be very upset after what happened to them last week. Texas is still a very high-level defensive team. They can still do well on offense. I think offensively they create some bad matchup problems for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's pull the rabbit out of the hat a couple times. To their credit, I think it's fantastic. I like where that program is headed compared to where they were last year. They were fade material, and I made a bunch of money fading them. This year, I got off of that train, luckily. But in this game, and again, don't want to go chalk city here, but I just can't look at any other side than Texas to really roll in Tennessee on Saturday.
Tommy, Miami good, Florida State bad. Very, very bad. But good enough and bad enough to justify a 21-point spread?
I don't know. Miami's offense continues to roll, and they got away with things a little bit in those Virginia Tech, Miami games where they maybe stumbled a little bit and still pulled off the win. But against Louisville, I was very impressed. That was a game that I think was going to be a very tough one for Miami to go into Louisville in the spot that they were in. And Miami, although it wasn't a blowout win by any means, really took care of business against a Louisville team that was in a very good position to pull off an upset. So I wouldn't get in front of the Miami train. I was not hot on them at the beginning of the season, but you can't deny what Cam Ward's doing and how that offense is going. Everyone's waiting for them to trip up. I certainly don't see this as a spot where that happens.
All these games I wanted to ask you about, we only really have time for one more. Got you for just the one segment here. Are you getting in front of the Indiana train? Because the Hoosiers have been a cover machine, man, and a 5.5-point favorite at home against Washington. That is not the same Huskies team that we watched last year.
Yeah, the Hoosiers are kind of my adopted team this year. I bet their season win total over at the beginning of the season. I had a little pizza money bet on Connor Rourke to win the Heisman, which doesn't look great now, but it was huge odds. I'm not going to get in front of the Indiana train. I think Coach Cignetti has these guys playing really hard for him, and it's a bad spot for Washington to roll in there. But now the pressure's on Indiana a little bit. College game day is going to be there. It's going to be a different environment for them, but I still think they win. Do they cover the touchdown? We'll see.
Tommy Lorenzo hosts the Cover the Weekend Sports Betting Podcast. He is on Twitter at SportsbookTom. Tommy, thank you, sir.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We are back, Game Time Decisions. So, 2 guests down, a lot of great stuff out of James Young, as well as, of course, most recently, Tommy Lorenzo, mixing in just a little bit of college football. It's a pretty big Saturday in front of us, but there's baseball tonight. certain thing called the World Series that is starting up out in Los Angeles against the New York Yankees. We've also got the NHL, and we've got George Kurtz. Everybody knows Kurtzy hanging out with us for the next couple segments here. He's well, look, he's not perfect. He's a Yankees fan, so I probably don't need to ask him who he wants to win the World Series. Who does he think will win the World Series, though? It's possible the answer is different to that question. Maybe. Let's find out. Kurtzy is here with us. Get him on Twitter, @George Kurtz. Good to see you, George. I will just tell you, the Bostonian that I am, I don't want either team to win. I hate this matchup, and I won't watch a second of it. But putting that aside, I will bet on it, and I have already invested in the Yankees to win Game 1 at plus money. How do you see this game going, Cole against Flaherty?
Why do you hate the Dodgers so much? I certainly understand you hated the Yankees. Dodgers, I wouldn't think it'd be hatred there for you. Well, I guess they do.
You know what it is?
That was your own choice.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets thing, I blame the Red Sox. I don't blame the Dodgers. Were just the team that went out and got him. I think what it is, and we can both really relate to this, given the franchises that we root for, is that the Dodgers went out actively over the last several years, but most especially this offseason, and decided, you know what, we're going to buy a championship. And it's kind of aggravating when a team goes out and spends all that money and it actually works. So that's where, and plus, my Red Sox don't spend the way that your Yankees and these Dodgers do anymore. They used to, they don't anymore. And so I'm a little butthurt about it. Honestly, I don't like what we're seeing here. I like last year when 2 sub-90 win teams that win the wild card get there, and it's a good story. There's nothing Yankees Dodgers that's a good story. Nobody cares about this unless you root for these two teams.
Now, I might push back a little bit of that, but I certainly get the point. I know there have been complaints. Oh, this is not good for baseball. Too big market. The Yankees haven't been here in 15 years, boys and girls. It's not like they're winning this every damn year. This series means more to me as a fan than probably any in a long time. I grew up in the 70s. I was around for the 77, for Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs, for 78, 81. Those are the 3 years the Yankees and Dodgers played, the last 3 times they played in the World Series. You mentioned the Red Sox. I was around for the big fight between Carlton Fisk and Lou Piniella at home plate. I remember watching that. Yes, I'm old. So this series means more because, and I told this before, my father and I were not close. My father passed in 92 before the great Yankee teams of the 90s. But about the only thing we agreed upon in life was baseball and the New York Yankees, where my love for the Yankees comes from. My father taught me how to keep score during when they played the Reds in 76, the Dodgers in 77 and 78. So there is sort of very romanticism for this series for me. It's memories that brings up for me. That being said, yeah, I think the Dodgers win. All right. I'm the first person to tell you, Adam, I watched every second of the Yankees playing Kansas City and the Yankees playing Cleveland. I'm not so sure they beat anybody else other than the Royals and the Guardians. All right. They didn't play better than those two teams. They are better than those teams. So they overcame their mistakes. How many more base running errors can you make? How many more errors at first base can you make? Because Rizzo can't bend and you have nobody else who can play first base. So the Dodgers, they may not be the perfect team, but they're a good team. The Yankees' biggest advantage is what you already talked about in your bet tonight, is Garrett Cole, starting pitching. The Yankees have it. The Dodgers do not. Right? Not that I think it's going to be, being easy. Cole is not Cole. Cole is not the Cy Young guy from last year. That injury to his forearm, elbow, shoulder, whatever it might be, although maybe not severe, is not good. I don't know if Cole is ever going to be Cole again. So let's keep that in mind here. That being said, I do think the advantage is to the Yankees tonight. So I'm sort of with you here. But for the series, Adam, I have the Dodgers in 6.
Cole, to his credit, and I agree with you, he's not been the same pitcher, obviously, but he is very good on the road. And he's done very well against some of these Dodgers players in the past, these hitters. And so there's sense to be made, obviously, going with the dog, get the plus money on the money line, all of that. I wouldn't, necessarily bother with the run line. Like if you, yes, the Dodgers obviously could win the game by 1, and then you win that bet and you would lose the money line. But I just think at this point in time, when these teams are as close as they are, you end up going with the money line. That would be my advice to the people. But what about the total that has continued to climb up, at 8.5, now to 9 at most places, even if that's at plus money. We saw both of these teams score a bunch of runs in the AL and NLCS respectively, 2 very high scoring series, not good for people that like to bet unders. Are you on the over tonight? Because that's where the money seems to be coming in.
The Yankees, one thing they did, which was surprisingly, Cleveland has one of the best bullpens, maybe in Major League Baseball. The Yankees beat up on that bullpen. They didn't really hit the starters all that much, but they beat up on the bullpen here, which is, like I said, eye-opening. Because I thought Cleveland had average starting pitchers that they barely hit those except for the first inning, and then they would be quiet until we got to the bullpen. So it was strange there. I think it does go over tonight. Now, you bring up a valid point. Cole's been better on the road than he has been at home. So maybe he does that tonight. I think Flaherty's hittable. All right. He doesn't have much of a track record against the Yankees. For the most part, he's missed the Yankees. Well, strange. He spent most of his career in the National League. But he's not a left-hander. Right? The Yankees have all sorts of issues against left-handers. Righties, they hit better. I don't think it'll be massively over, so I wouldn't place a massive bet on this. But yeah, I think we get to 9 or 10.
Flaherty's also 1-2 with an ERA of 7 in his 3 postseason starts. Should we look toward the under on his outs? Just assume that he's going to get a short hook.
See, I don't think that the Dodgers are going to have to be careful about that because we know either in Game 3 or Game 4 they're going to have a bullpen game. So I think when you say a short hook, if it's 6-0, he's going to have to eat it. Just like he did in the Mets series, right? When he pitched terrible that one game, he had to eat it because we need to save the bullpen here. If it's 6-5, that's a little different because the game's still wide open, right? They would still have a chance yet. Then they might pull him earlier to get to that bullpen. So I think that's going to depend on this. That being said, from what I've seen from the Yankees, I don't think he pitches great Flaherty tonight. Maybe he doesn't get 5 innings. I can see him giving 5 innings, 3-4 runs is what I expect from Flaherty tonight.
Any favorite props in this game across the board?
Ohtani's hitting a home run tonight. I have to believe he's hitting a home run tonight, right? Come on. He stepped up every time he stepped up in these kinds of situations. I'm on an Ohtani home run tonight. Mookie Betts to get over a base and a half. Giancarlo Stanton, lesser bet by mind you, but he hits very well at Dodger Stadium. I'm going to say he continues his hot streak and he hits one out as well.
You want to play it more conservatively, you can go over on his total bases, 1.5, something like that if you want as well. Either way,
he ain't hitting 2 singles.
Be on base. Look. Maybe it's a double. Maybe it just misses going out. It hits the top of the wall, comes on back. George Kurt's going to come on back. We'll talk maybe a little more baseball, look at some series odds going into the set, plus some NHL.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back here, Game Time Decisions. George Kurtz hanging out. So we've been talking World Series. Yeah, it's coming up an hour and change from now for those that want to watch, I guess. Yankees against the Dodgers. We will mix in some NHL, but I feel like it is kind of a big deal, this baseball thing. We should mix in some of the props going into the series because a lot of these obviously either won't be available to you or the lines that are worth chasing won't be available to you after game one. And so, George, when it comes to pre-series betting, you already mentioned you think the Dodgers are going to win in 6, but how about the prop market? Have you invested in anything when it comes to who's going to hit the most home runs, most total bases, most hits, most RBI, whatever it may be?
I generally take that more on a game by game basis than a complete series. I think you need to be careful with your Dodgers because during the regular season, when you're facing a lefty, they tended to bench Max Muncy. So maybe Freddie Freeman with the ankle injury could get benched to give him a little bit of a break here. So they Gavin Lux, by the way. So I might be a little careful with that. It's why I was a big believer in Muncy winning the MVP, even though I can't bet on it in New York because we can't bet on things like that. It's silly. Anything that's voted on, you can't bet on in New York. But now I realize there's a chance. Now they haven't announced it, and I don't think Roberts will announce it until he has to tomorrow. Could they bench Muncy for game 2? I don't know. And now that Rodon's pitching game 2 means you could also go game 6. So you might lose Muncy for 2 games. That takes him out of the MVP race there. All right, listen, I know we think Ohtani is going to win. I think the Dodgers are going to win, so it's probably Ohtani. Betts is plus 850. So that's where I would go with that bet, by the way. And I may have been able to find, another site where I could bet that. That's not, doesn't care where I am. So I'm on Betts winning the MVP at 850. But I said, I'm more of a game-to-game person, Adam. And you said it before when we were joking about Stanton. The smarter thing is to just bet total bases rather than the home run. But I also wasn't kidding. Stanton, he don't hit cheapies. He's either hitting it 9 miles or he's not hitting it. It's really that simple for me. So I generally don't play him with the total base prop. But Ohtani and Betts, those are great ways to go about it.
We can talk more of those series props with Scott Wetzel when he joins us top of the next hour. Joe Madden after him as well. A couple of my partners on Sundays here on Sports Grid. Let's talk a little puck. We got games that are on the way tonight, obviously, here, George. 4 of them. It's a light slate as compared to the NBA, but nevertheless, on the ice, you got the Golden Knights, the Devils, the Predators, and Oilers are all the favorites. If you were putting together a money line parlay, it would probably be the 2 heaviest favorites, knowing you, the Charlie Chalk parlays that you put together, the Preds and the Oilers. But tell me, when it comes to games that are more, basically pick'ems, like the Islanders and the Devils, where do you go here?
The Islander one smells. All right, I have some issues here. I think I know why. As you said, it's not. I mean, the Devils are minus 122, but you expect them to be a higher favorite. I think the reason they're not is because the Devils played last night. The Islanders did not. The Islanders have been shut out 3 of their first 6 games. All right, let you know where I'm going with this. I'm taking the under in the game. All right, I'm going down. I'm going to take the Devils as well. Islanders, they lost Duclair, who not a great player, but for them was really helpful. He's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks here. Sorokin's going to have to play great overall. Well, I didn't see which one's going in. Don't really care. They're both very good goalies here. On the Devils, on the under. The first game you talked about, by the way, Ottawa-Vegas has already started. It started at 6 o'clock tonight, 3 o'clock local time. Don't know why Vegas has done that. We'd have to look into it. That's a mixed bag. It's 3-2 Ottawa. I'm on the over. That's good. But I'm also on Vegas. That's bad. So we'll see how that works out for me. Nashville, Chicago, you said it. All right. I'm on the parlay. All right. I'm on the Edmonton-Nashville parlay later. Nashville, they're 1-5, 1-6 to start the season, but they got their first win last game, got a shutout from Soros. Chicago not playing, but Bedard's not scoring, by the way. That's a major issue for them right now. It's early. It's only 2.5 weeks into the season, so we're okay here. Nashville, Edmonton, also slow start to the season. It seems like their big guys are scoring okay, but no one else is scoring. Yeah, right. They're trying to prove that last year was no joke. We're going to do it again. We're going to take October, November off. Then we'll still come back and beat everybody. I think there's some words there about Skater. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Things get bad. There are big things expected. Probably not, but I wouldn't think so. And I'll take the Edmonton Oilers to beat Pittsburgh, who's played okay, but they have major goalie problems there. Tristan Jarry, I don't know if he's starting tonight yet, but Tristan Jarry's sort of lost his job, lost confidence there. They're going with guys I've never heard of. I've heard of Nedeljkovic, but it's the other guy, Blomqvist. No idea who this guy is. And he started a couple of games. So I'll let you know how down they are on Jarry right now. So that's my parlay there. Give me Edmonton, give me Nashville.
That in mind, George, pretty common, obviously, to see 6.5 totals in the NHL today. 7, not as much, and yet this is a game, feels like we should consider laddering it up. I think we're going to get a lot of goals.
So do I. I'm on the over as well here. Edmonton, Not only do you want to take the over, if you see this game going 2-1 the first 10 minutes, and you said start betting 7.5, the 8.5, it's going to go way over. Neither goaltender do I trust that both teams can score goals.
As George said, Senators up on the Golden Knights 3-2 after one period. High scoring. Thanks, George.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2, Game Time Decisions here on SportsGrid, and the parade of guests continues. And like with George Kurtz before him, we're keeping it in the SportsGrid family, someone that I spend a lot of time with on Sundays, as a matter of fact, when we do in-game live pro football game day coming your way this weekend. Make sure you check it out, obviously, Eastern Time, 4:30, taking you through the NFL afternoon action. Scott Wetzel on Twitter at Opposite Picks, a host and analyst here on the grid. Scott, how are you?
Good, Ad. What's going on? How are you tonight?
Just counting down the minutes until I get to completely ignore the World Series. Game 1 tonight between the Yankees and the Dodgers. It is the first pitch of 8:08 Eastern, so we are just an hour or so away here. And look, I told George that I am on the Yankees tonight. He is as well at plus money, plus 110, although he believes, and I don't have a series bet in this one, he thinks Dodgers in 6. How have you invested in this one?
Wow, I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised. So, listen, I like the Yankees. I hope they don't win. Hope I'm wrong. Every once in a while I'll throw a pick out there, Adam, as a fellow Red Sox fan. You can appreciate this, that you just hope you're wrong. But I think they're the better team. I don't quite understand why the Dodgers are pitching Flaherty in game number 1. I would have gone with Yamamoto if you had your choice, and they certainly did. Unless they think Flaherty is better to be able to come back and pitch in a possible game 7 than Yamamoto. But otherwise, dude's 1-2 this postseason with an ERA over 7. And the Yankees have seen him plenty of times from his days in the American League, so it's not like they're thinking, well, they don't face him or haven't faced him before. So he's not pitched great. I think the Yankees with Garrett Cole, their goal is to get out of this series with at least the split first 2 games, but they got a chance to win both games. So I like them plus the 110. I really do. I think the 2-3-2 format is suited much better for the team that's got the 3 middle games. If you're the Yankees, you're thinking, let me go back to Los Angeles, at worst down 3-2, and we'll take 2 cracks at getting 1 win. So, again, hope I'm wrong, but if they get Stanton to hit the way he's been hitting this postseason, it's going to be tough. And God forbid if Judge can really start hitting the ball the way he's capable of. So I'm going to go with the Yankees. I like them tonight plus the 105, and I like them in the series plus 110.
George said that he likes Stanton to homer tonight. He is all but guaranteed, to the point that any of us can guarantee an outcome in sports betting, obviously. He strongly believes that Shohei Ohtani is also going to go deep in Game 1. Do you have any props or investments outside of, obviously, the money line as far as how Game 1 plays out?
Yeah, I like to. I penciled these strikeout props. And listen, I understand playoffs, especially World Series, these guys are on a short hook, much shorter than what it is, even as short as it is in the regular season. I get that. But you could get Garrett Cole, Adam, to get 10 strikeouts in the World Series. Now, that's over both starts, not just one, at pick 'em odds, but minus 105, 110, depending on where you do your shopping. Now, he's guaranteed 2 starts, right? He's going to start tonight, Game 1, and then probably Game 5, if not Game 4, and then maybe be able to come back a little bit in Game 7. So he's not going to get 5 starts. He's not getting, 5 strikeouts. He's had 5 strikeouts in 12 of his 17 starts this regular season. Now, postseason, different, only 4 in each of the 3 games, but the Dodgers strike out a lot. As great as Ohtani is, he strikes out a ton. I would be shocked if he didn't get at least 10 strikeouts in 2 starts. And then I'm going to go Yamamoto at plus 230, 10 strikeouts. Again, he's guaranteed 2 starts. Game 5 and probably a Game 6, which I do think there's going to be at least a Game 6. Getting him, he can get 8 strikeouts in 1 start. He's going to have a little bit longer hook. So is Cole with the Yankees. So 10 strikeouts for both those 2 guys. I like that a lot. And then if you want goofiness, and listen, we're all into goofy bets, right? How about a 60-1 shot for someone to set the record for most RBIs in the series? 13. I think it's going to be a high-scoring series, Adam. I think it's going to be a long series. I'm expecting at least 6, if not 7 games. Some guys got to have a monster game, maybe a 4 or 5 RBI game. But you have a plenty, whether it's Ohtani, whether it's Betts, whether it's Judge, Stanton, the way he's hitting, or Soto. You got legitimately at least 5 guys that are going to get opportunities this World Series to have runners on base. So give me 13 RBIs. That would be a World Series record, but at 60-1, I'll take a crack at it.
I like that. I mean, why not? Guy's godlike anyway. It seems like I can't believe he's not pitching in this series with all that he's been able to achieve. So, Scott, there's plenty more baseball we could do. We'll do more with Joe Madden, our other, the other member of our trio on Sundays. Joe's going to come up after you and hang out for a couple segments. Let's mix in some football, some NFL specifically. The week kicked off last night with a really entertaining Thursday night football game. And how often do we get to say that? The Rams ultimately victorious, 30-20. Second straight loss now for Minnesota. The Vikings had been 5-0. To me, that team's identity is its defense, the Brian Flores blitz and all of that. And now it's looked pretty bad against potent offenses in consecutive weeks. Are the Vikings, look, they're still good. They should be a playoff team, but are the Vikings maybe not quite as highly rated as we once thought?
Yeah, let him get Hawkinson back, or really get him this season before we write them off completely. But yeah, Adam, I tend to think that way. We all kind of, for those that weren't buying into Minnesota, even though they had a great start, it was all okay. Let's see Sam Darnold perform over the course of the season. And while he wasn't awful last night, and he clearly got the face mask, he also was, in his end zone for 5 seconds before he realized he was going down. Throw the ball away, do something, right? Just it doesn't matter. So he found a way to lose, and it's just like Minnesota's going to be a good team. I think they make the playoffs, but that division is clearly Detroit's. To me, they're clearly a step below. Whether it's going to be Detroit, whether it's going to be pick another team in the NFC. I mean, who really? Green Bay? You want to say them? You want to still buy into San Francisco? I suppose you could. But I think Minnesota's on that second tier, and I don't think with their quarterback situation and with the defense, you said it, back-to-back games now against 2 teams that can throw the football, and it didn't perform well at all. So that defense, maybe even more than the offense, is suspect.
Are the Rams all of a sudden live to make the playoffs? Got a little overcoming to do in terms of the record, but if they can stay healthy, Nakua looked like he didn't miss a beat. Kupp was the one who looked like he was, questionable to play, and what's he going to look like? And meanwhile, obviously, Kyron Williams continues to be the automatic touchdown, and Matt Stafford, when he has his weapons, is excellent.
Yeah. Listen, they were 6-1 to make the playoffs before that game. They're still plus 480, Adam. And when you look at they're a game back, and San Francisco, I think they will. I think they're going to lose to Dallas. I mean, they're looking at being 3-5. Seattle's a 500 team, right? So why can't, at plus 480, knowing that they have Seattle next week, then they got the Patriots on the schedule. They got who knows what kind of Dolphins team is going to be on there as well. They could easily be 6-4 if things fall the right way. I'll take a fully healthy Rams team over Seattle. I wouldn't take them over San Fran, but I would definitely take them over Seattle. I think they're the best team in that division right now. Plus 480 for them to make the playoffs. Forget about winning the division. Make the playoffs. Actually, you know what? That is to win the division. My bad. But I'll take them at plus 480 to win the division, and then a little sprinkle on them to make the playoffs as well.
What do you have circled on your betting card this Sunday as far as sides anyway? I mean, we could spend all kinds of time on props and totals, but how about sides?
I like Atlanta a lot. Listen, Tampa Bay, God bless them, but you lose your two best offensive weapons. Atlanta's a much better team historically on the road anyway, so laying only 2.5 against Tampa Bay, that to me seems to be a complete gift. And I know it's a big number, Adam, but you got to make a strong case to put American Canadian money on Tennessee these days. Maybe Joe will. I don't know, but give me the Lions. I'm going to lay the 11.5. Blood is in the water. They know Minnesota's already lost, so I think they crushed Tennessee this weekend.
Scott Wetzel, once again, of course, a regular, a host and analyst here on SportsGrid. He's working what feels like every day of the week, including this Sunday. He'll be on tomorrow as well. He and Joe doing some talk during the college football Saturday. The three of us will be together on your Sunday talking through the NFL. Scott is on Twitter at Opposite6. Scott Wetzel, thank you so much.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We are back. Game Time Decisions here on Sports Grid. Thank you for being with us. Just mentioned that we had Scott Wetzel on, who is 1/3, along with me as another third of the trio that comes your way on Sundays for in-game live pro football game day. The other, and honestly, probably most important third that you come for is Joe Madden, who joins us now for the next couple segments. Joe is on Twitter at Joe Madden Sports, of course, host and analyst here on Sports Grid. She's putting out social media exclusive hockey videos as well. We'll get into a little puck talk, but we got to start with some baseball. Joe, you excited? Game 1 of the World Series tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I had a ticket on the Padres to make the World Series, so I had to rip that up, Adam. But I think this is a fantastic matchup, and I think it's a great matchup for sports betting because we look at these teams and we have high-octane offenses out there that have been stacking up the runs on the board. So when we're looking at prop bets, we have the ability, I think, to cash in this series. So I'm excited for it.
What's the right way to bet game 1? You know, Scott, George Kurtz was on with us. You know, me, the three of us are unified that we like the Yankees, at least in game 1. Plus money on the money line, plus 110. George does like the Dodgers for the series. Scott likes the Yankees for the series. Well, doesn't like as a Red Sox fan, but that's where he believes his money should go. What about you?
I can't believe you got that out of Scott for him to say he's betting on the Yankees. And I can't believe I'm disappointed in George. He's going against his Yankees out there. I'm looking at the Dodgers. I look at the ability of the Dodgers, and yes, we look at the Yankees and they have the stronger pitchers overall, but there's something about this Dodgers team. There's something about the offense out there. You've got Ohtani on this team. I think it's a magical season for them. And we're looking here at game 1, they're minus 126 on the money line. And that's the way I would go if I had to take a side. Now, Adam, I am looking at that total, and that total keeps ticking up. I grabbed it over 8.5 when it was like in the minus 120 range. It's now 9 at plus 100 to the over on FanDuel, and I would still take it to that over. I'm expecting this one to be a higher scoring. Now, we risk the push at 9 because I could see it being a 5-4 game finishing right on that 9, but I'm hoping for double-digit runs in this one.
Yeah, I'm on the over as well, although I've sort of played it with a weird parlay using a boost available on FanDuel where I'm looking for an alternate under in the first 5, but an over for the game and all of this. So I've gotten cute with it. We'll see how it ends up playing out. Sometimes those things don't work in my favor. What about game 1 props? Anything jumping out at you?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking here at Ohtani, you know we have to look at Ohtani to come out strong. He's been able to hit Garrett Cole in his career. He's gone 4 of 20, being able to record 1 home run and 3 RBIs. For the RBI tonight, he's coming in at plus 105. I'm going to hit on that. I'm also going to hit on him for the home run tonight at plus 200. And then Mookie Betts. So much experience here for Mookie Betts. The RBI for him at plus 155. The 2+ bases coming in at minus 105. He has had success versus Garrett Cole in his career. And we also look at him with the World Series experience. I expect him to hit the ground running in this one. Now, when we look at the Yankees, we can't deny Aaron Judge. And I don't think Aaron Judge is worth taking for the home run. Would I be shocked if he gets it? Absolutely not. But I'm going to take Aaron Judge for the RBI at plus 110. And then Stanton. Stanton has been so phenomenally hot. His home run coming in at plus 285. The RBI as well at plus 140. You can't deny him. He's got RBI or home runs in his last 3 games, 5 over the playoffs here. And I do think even with the break, he comes out nice and hot. Now, one thing I'm also liking, if you can still jump on it, is the yes runs in the first inning. Adam, I expect those runs to come hard and fast night in that first. So give me the Yurfie. It was minus 108 before. If that juice is ticked up to minus 120, I'm fine with it. Anything over minus 120, it's getting a little high for me, but I do think those runs, we probably get 2 or 3 in the first inning here.
You and George sharing a brain. You both like Stanton and Ohtani to homer here in game 1 tonight. What about going into the series as far as, the World Series market? Have you taken a dive into that? Because we obviously have so much talent, name recognition, regular season MVPs, all of that. Where's the right way to spend our money?
You know what? I have to lean on the Yankees to be able to get it done. So the Yankees to win the World Series coming in at -122, as you see there, Adam. I just think there's something special about this team. Now, if we look at World Series MVPs, and I think the Yankees are going to be able to take it right now, you can jump on Ohtani. Ohtani's coming in at +230. He's 50-50. He's been so phenomenally strong this season. I couldn't see the Dodgers winning this and him not getting the MVP market. Now, if you do think it's going to be the Yankees to take it, MVP for the Yankees between Aaron Judge and Soto is where you're getting +500 and +550. I just don't think the Yankees take it. So it's Ohtani for me in this one. Could someone else from the Dodgers? We got Mookie Betts coming in at +800. Not enough value for me to look at anyone other than Ohtani in this matchup. And it's crazy to say because Mookie Betts at +800, Max Muncy at +1800. So much value. But if the Dodgers take this, it's got to be Ohtani.
Is there a market that stands out to you? We talked about this a little bit earlier with George when it comes to, there are so many different ways obviously to bet props going into the series on the whole, not just game by game, and he's more of a game by game bettor, he said. But when it comes to, player to have the most hits, most homers, most RBI, most total bases, most whatever it is, pitchers, strikeouts, obviously how all of this works. And we got graphics for all of these boards. Who jumps out at you in any particular market that you like best?
Okay, who does the world want it to be? The world wants it to be Aaron Judge versus Ohtani, right, Adam? So if we're looking at those most home runs, Aaron Judge or Ohtani at +290, Aaron Judge at +320. I know what we've seen during the playoffs so far. It's Vince Stanton who's been that difference maker. Aaron Judge has to step up in the playoffs here. The whole betting world, the whole baseball world wants that's behind the Yankees, Judge to step up. Ohtani as well, the face of the Dodgers. It's got to be between those two. So I'm going to sprinkle on both of them for the most home runs over the course of the series.
I'd like to say that's all the World Series talk for the show, but Dave Sharapan is going to join us in a little while, and I'm sure he's going to want to talk about it. He's going to show up either wearing a Dodgers hat or a Yankees jersey or whatever. Sharapan's going to have his thoughts. We'll get the book's thoughts. We're not done with Joe, though. That's baseball. We're going to come on back, talk some hockey with Joe on the other side.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is Game Time Decisions here on Sports Grid. Thanks again if you are watching us across Sports Grid TV or listening to Sports Grid Radio, Sirius XM Channel 159. We appreciate you hanging with us. Joe Madden is hanging with us. She is on Twitter at Joe Madden Sports. Make sure you check out not only her across Sports Grid, but the Cup of Joe, which is available to you talking betting, usually hockey betting, on social media. Let's talk a little hockey here, Joe. We got a light slate tonight, just the 4 games. One is underway, as a matter of fact. 2 of them now are underway. Senators up 3-2 still at Vegas. That was the score after one period. It's about 13 minutes to go in the second period right now. So clearly a high-scoring affair, well on its way to the total. The Islanders have taken an early 1-0 lead on a Nelson goal, his third of the year, up at the Devils. That game is midway through the first. Later on tonight, we've got the Predators and Blackhawks, Penguins and Oilers, both starting after this show is over. So as far as these games that are in progress, did you have bets on either of these two or anything you'd like to jump in on live?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the Ottawa Senators versus the Vegas Golden Knights, I expected this to be a hard one for the Vegas Golden Knights. We know they're phenomenally strong in the Fortress, but I was looking at the Ottawa Senators, who have been surprising on the year to roll in and get the win with Ullmark in net. Now, I love this game just tied up 3-3 apiece because now you can jump in on the Ottawa Senators at plus 100. Looking at both of these teams, Adam, they're so phenomenally strong on that power play, and we are actually seeing Ottawa more disciplined this season than we have seen them in the past. So Ottawa straight up at minus 104 right now. That total's flown all the way up to 9.5 as we're in the second period, tied 3-3 apiece. These goals aren't stopping, but you did miss the best of the number there. Looking at the New York Islanders versus the New Jersey Devils, the Devils have played a heck of a lot of hockey out there on the ice. You saw Jack Hughes get absolutely rocked last night. They're on their second night of a back-to-back. And this Islanders team has been shut out already 3 times on the season, something that is making franchise history in a bad way, Adam. I'm looking for this team to really respond tonight. Now they're up 1-0. Actually, the Devils just tied it up as well. This is a good thing. We want to jump in on the New York Islanders if you didn't have a bet straight up on the money line, because I do think this is a game. This is do or die for those players out there. They've changed up the power play a little bit. That power play wasn't converting, and they moved a couple of players. And I do think with the movement of Brock Nelson and Barzell, from Barzell has dropped down to that second line, we're going to see some conversion on that power play, and the Islanders can get the win.
I don't want to say anything. When Joe talks, we get goals. That's fun. We're scoring here in the NHL. Chasing overs, obviously, but like you said, Heisler with the goal for the Devils. So that is and now a 1-1 game, 8 minutes to go in the opening period. And then again, 3-3 Senators, Golden Knights, as Joe said. That has about 12 minutes to go in the second. Now, what about the Predators and Blackhawks? You know, Nashville, despite being terrible, off to a 1-5 start, is the heavy favorite in this situation at a Chicago team that has underwhelmed, you might say, to start off the year, though not quite to the degree of the Predators. But where do you go in this one? Do you chase the plus money? Would you be willing to lay minus 170?
It is Friday, Adam, and crazy things happen out there on the ice on a Friday. It's when you always want to look at those underdogs, but not a great scheduling spot for either of these teams. Chicago, last game at home before headed out on a road trip, first night of a back-to-back and a 5-game road trip on deck. So I don't think it's a good situation, even though we're getting plus money on them here at home to get the win. I am looking at the Nashville Predators. I'm looking at them coming in with momentum off that win over the Boston Bruins, winning that 4-0 with Saros in goal to be able to win the first period here. Puck line in the first period laying a half a goal at plus 142. I would look at Forsberg for the anytime goal here, Stamkos for the anytime goal as well. But I do think Teravainen will find the net here for Chicago. He's coming in at plus 240.
So as you noted, you think goals are going to keep on coming between the Senators and Golden Knights. Are we going over the 7? Huge total between the Penguins and Oilers late night.
Okay, that depends on if the Penguins can score, but we know Stuart Skinner has struggled in net. I'm looking for a big night out of the Edmonton Oilers. They've dominated this matchup, not only winning the last 6, but covering that puck line in the last 6, Adam, and in the majority of them covering puck lines of 2.5, 3.5. So I think the Oilers, even though I hate to do it, laying the puck line here at plus 118 is the right way. I'm looking at Connor McDavid for 3+ points in this game at plus 215, and Zach Hyman yet to light the lamp on the season. I'm taking him at plus +125 to finally get on the scoreboard. Now, I do think Sidney Crosby and Malkin have to step up for the Penguins. I'd expect their goals tonight, too.
Joe Madden on Twitter at Joe Madden Sports. Check out the Cup of Joe as well. She is a host and analyst on SportsGrid. We'll be together again on Sunday for in-game live pro football game day at 4:30 Eastern. Joe, thank you.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're back. Game Time Decisions. We're going to be joined shortly by the one, the only, the sportsbook consigliere, Dave Sharapan, in again just a little bit. He'll spend some time with us, and we'll go kind of a smorgasbord, right? We'll hit on everything. World Series, NHL, NBA if he feels like it, obviously NFL, maybe college football. There's really nothing the guy isn't betting, isn't touching, and isn't probably representing in his wardrobe when it comes to a hat or a jersey and maybe even a mid-show change. Again, game 1 of the World Series is coming your way between the Dodgers and the Yankees as we sit here about a half hour away in Los Angeles. I'm inclined to agree with most of what we've heard from our guest tonight. I think that we are on the over. As I mentioned before, I bet it at 8.5. Obviously, I'm perfectly fine with the 9. You do risk the push in that situation, but hey, if you were over the 8.5, you may as well get the 9. If it doesn't hit, you get your money back. When I say it doesn't hit, I mean doesn't go over 9 to where you get to 10. But I do think offense is coming tonight, especially with Flaherty on that side. It's a good time to attack the Yankees, obviously, or support the Yankees, attack the Dodgers, term it however you want to. But again, at plus money, plus 110, where you can get Cole pitching the way that he has been on the road, Flaherty being the dumpster fire that he has been so far, really throughout much of the recent times that we've seen him, not just here in the postseason in these 3 starts. It's just, this is the opportunity to take advantage of New York on the road and try and achieve what, as George talked about earlier, is the goal. Get the split, go back to the Bronx 1-1, and you see where it goes from there when you've got 3 games in front of you. To update people on where things stand right now, and all sports for that matter, we have the Senators and Golden Knights still tied at 3. That has about 8 minutes to go in the second period. The Islanders have now courtesy of an Anders Lee goal, taking a 2-1 lead at the Devils. So nonstop scoring, it feels like so far in the NHL, chasing overs. You know you're going to get there in that first game because we're guaranteed the 7th goal. And the Islanders and Devils, which only had a total of 6, already halfway there. And again, 4 minutes and change to go in the opening period. So high scoring opening period, especially a successful bet if you play the over 1.5 first period goals, as I did see some people on in this one earlier today. Predators and Blackhawks, they'll get started at 8:30 Eastern, so that's about 45 minutes or so from now. And the Penguins and Oilers, they are at 9 o'clock Eastern, so we're still sitting about 90 minutes away on that one. 2 NBA games that are underway, and there are others that are getting started in just a few minutes, actually. But you got the Nets, who are trailing big in Orlando already. It is 22-14. I know that can change in an instant in the NBA, but this could be a sign of what's to come in Orlando tonight as well. That game has about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter and about 4 minutes to go in the first. The Sixers, who were favorites, even, of course, without Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey, or, Paul George. Maxey is out there. They are down early by just a point, 23-22 at the Raptors in this one. Maxey, as expected, and as he has to do, quite frankly, off to a hot start, already has 11 points, half of Philadelphia's points in the first 350 of, or the first roughly 8 minutes of this game. 3:50 to go in the opening quarter in that one. Hornets and Hawks are starting. Pistons, Cavaliers, Pacers, Knicks, all in the next few minutes. Mentioned it earlier. Love this spot for the Knicks tonight, just as a bounce back at home. We got into it with JY after just getting embarrassed on the road to start off the year. And I know there are new pieces there. Karl Anthony Towns in particular, obviously, and trying to mesh now with Brunson. And what is this going to look like? And, you know, they're not completely healthy. There's no Robinson. Still, as up-tempo as this game may be, and I do like the over 227.5, and the Pacers are no pushovers. I think you're going to see a better all-around game, well-rounded game out of Tyrese Halliburton than what you got in the debut. Brunson is the guy who's got to show out. He has got to be an absolute stud in this game after limited time, poor performance in that first game against the Celtics for the Knicks on the whole. So I would support New York laying the points here tonight. Sharapan is with us. Usually this is where he comes in. If we were off the air, is that Kofsky? That Kofsky? But he doesn't mean me. He means, Chris. But, we can get those confused tonight, obviously. How are you, Sharapan? Welcome in.
Hey, Adam. Great to see you. Yeah. Kofsky is here. Everybody's here. We're talking about basketball. I mean, aren't we talking about baseball, bro? Are
Buddy,
you really
we've
watching
done
this
half this show? Yeah, the NBA. I'm watching that stuff. Half this show has been baseball, and I knew we'd do baseball with you. I'm a little surprised we don't have, like a Yankees jersey, Dodgers cap, or the reverse. I'm surprised that you're coming in singularly representing one team. You are only representing one team, but is this? Are you telling me who's going to win the series, or are you telling me who's going to win game one?
No, if I'm telling you who's going to win game one, I think they split in LA, games 1 and 2. If the Dodgers, if I had to pick which game they're going to win tomorrow. They're not going to win tonight. Garrett Cole's going to be the difference tonight. If he's going to be the ace. It's that simple. I think this is why he's here. This is what the Yankees need him to win. I think to win the series, they need him to win every game he starts. If it's 2 or 3, there might be a time where, he pitches on short rest if need be. But I think he wins tonight. That's where I'm at right now. But, before I, came on the show, I asked my little one, and she said, "You're not really going to go on wearing Yankee stuff, are you? You're going to talk to that guy, Adam. You talk to him every Monday and Thursday. He's a Red Sox guy, right? Like he's from Boston, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, You better put the Dodger stuff on. Make sure you wear the Dodger stuff."
She's sharp.
Yep. She pays attention. The little one watches the show. Well, I think she watches it on mute. I'm not sure, but
I was going to say, I need to start to watch my language.
No, you don't. She's very wise beyond her years. Vegas kid, born and raised. She knows her way around the whole space. She was talking about the Pitt and Syracuse game last night while we were
Oh,
watching.
how about that? That didn't
Do you
go my
believe
way,
that?
did it?
Do you believe that? No, it did not. But it went under,
did
which
not.
was the most important thing in the house. Like, she's like, why
there
are
you
we
go.
still watching this game? It's 41-13. You know, this is boring. And I said, just relax. Let's be boring for another 5
Relax.
minutes. Yeah, let's just be boring for another 5 minutes and make sure there's no more pick sixes. No, man, this is a fun time of year, isn't it? It's such a good. I mean, this is the ultimate week of stuff. We have the best baseball, World Series. We got a full slate of basketball. There's some hockey games going on. It's Nevada Day here, so the Knights are playing in game right now. And
So that's why it's the early start. Okay, we were wondering earlier why
Yeah.
that thing started at 6 Eastern, Nevada Day.
Nevada Day. It's like Columbus Day, but it's only observed here in Nevada, apparently. So
Go figure.
yes, we got a double header too. We got the Knights at 3:00 Pacific, and then the big game at Allegiant. Not the Raiders. The Raiders play Sunday against the Chiefs. We got Friday night football. UNLV Rebels.
Oh,
big one.
yeah.
Big one tonight against Boise. And
What are the expectations for this one? We were talking about that a little bit earlier with Tommy Lorenzo. I mentioned that I am on the Boise side in this one, but not a big play. I'm more interested in the total, quite frankly.
over. Do you like over? It's high.
I like over, but it is a big number. I mean, you're in the low to mid 60s.
Low 60s. The number of times, I believe it's 80 and 56 or 80 and 52, where the games have gone under college football of totals in the 60s this season. So I think the game goes over, though. I think they trade scores. But again, I'm leaning Boise. Like, I got to be careful. If I say it too loud, they're going to get mad. Like I should.
Whisper it. Just get into the mic. Whisper.
Yeah,
Boise.
Yeah.
Sharapan's hanging with us. We'll talk, just all things sports. Obviously, we'll maybe mix in a little bit more World Series, a little bit more college football, definitely some NFL. Like he said, we get into that a couple times a week. More with Sharapan coming up.
They lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This is Game Time Decisions. Dave Sharapan is here with us, the sportsbook consigliere, one half of the Bostonian versus the book. I would run down the in-game scores for the NBA and the NHL. Dave doesn't care about that sort of thing, though. He doesn't want you to know what's happening.
Do it. It's good. We need to do that.
You know what it is? It's so early. It's so early. I mean, end of one, the Nets are up by 1, so it's anybody's game. They're up 23-22 at the Magic. The Sixers, same story, 30 seconds to go in the opening quarter, 29-28 at the Raptors. And then the Hornets, Hawks, Pistons, Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, all basically just underway. Do you have any plays in the NBA tonight, or are you singularly, baseball and Vegas minded?
I don't want to say that I'm anti-Lakers at all, but I looked at that number and I thought, really? I don't know. I guess I have higher expectations of Phoenix. I know they were already there. I mean, they're not in the same building now, but they just played the Clippers and won a game. I thought the Clippers would be or the Suns would be favored against the Lakers. I don't. It's not a big deal that it's there in LA because they've already been there. This is not like a road trip. I've stayed at the hotel right across the street from there. It's nice. So I don't know. I like the Suns later, and I don't know. I mean, what do you do with the Warriors and the Jazz? Like that was the other one I looked at because I'll be, me and Wetzel will be doing the thing here, after this show, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but. The guys with the money that like to bet the NBA and take the home dogs like to take the Jazz in this situation, and it screams out that you're supposed to take the points. I can't let go of Golden State, Adam. Like, I love them so much, and they made, me in the book a lot of money and then betting a lot of money, and I love the way they play. Steph is one of my favorite players of all time. I go back to the Warriors when they were run TMC and all that other stuff. Like, it was fun. And I just can't say, I just can't let it go and go, how can they be 6.5-point road favorites? Supposed to bet the Jazz, but those are the two games I looked at. I mean, how about you? There's not much left in the NBA tonight to look at pregame. Is there Rockets?
No, not a lot left pregame for sure. I'm scanning the board here.
Pelicans, Blazers.
I would be inclined to go with the Pelicans to cover, but I wouldn't put a big play on it by any means. No, I mean, some of the spots that I really liked, like the Knicks to cover, already underway, obviously. So we'll see how some of those play out. But listen, you're like you said, and as you are dressed for people that are listening, not watching, baseball. I mean, World Series Game 1, it is a big deal. Starts in about 20 minutes. I know that, baseball is not really been top of mind for a lot of people throughout this week because it feels like an eternity since we've seen a baseball game. There was such a gap between the NL and ALCS to where we are now. But these are two teams that obviously have played very well here in the postseason. Scott, you mentioned Wetzel. You're doing in-game live primetime after this. He was on earlier with us and is not really and even as a Red Sox fan, putting that aside, he's not that enthused by what the Yankees have been doing so far. Even George Kurtz is a Yankee fan, and George says the teams that they've beaten, I think, are the only teams they would have beaten. They have not played well enough to take down Dodger caliber competition. So even he believes the Dodgers are going to win the series. I am personally, I guess, rooting for that because I can never celebrate New York baseball anyway, although the Mets would have been a fun story if they kept going. I don't have anything against the Mets. I was too young for the Buckner situation. But have you got into the World Series MVP market, any of the pre-series props available as far as series leaders?
I'm going through the stuff on FanDuel right now because they put up these crazy props and crazy ideas and different things and then set a price on them. So I'm just looking at this. Garrett Cole to go 6 up, 6 down to start the game is plus $5. It should probably be a little bit more than that considering who the first 6 hitters are going to be for the Dodgers. But I'll tell you what, if he gets through that, the Yankees price is going to get really good in game. There's a bet you can make on who will score first. I think I would bet the Yankees to score first right now out here at Circa. It's minus 140, which again, they get to hit first, and let's get the Flaherty and get a lead. So those are just little things, and because I'm looking for all the in-game stuff. I don't know. I asked a question on Twitter about the number of games, because everybody's got an opinion about who's going to win the series, because they either are a Red Sox fan and they can't stand the Yankees, so they want the Dodgers, or I saw Fernando Valenzuela pitch, and I'm a Dodger fan from back in the day. Series price tells you. I mean, it is close. This is going to be close. How many games does this series go, Adam? That was the question I asked, and overwhelmingly, the choices were 4 or 5, 6 or 7. Would that be your answer, sir?
Yeah, I mean, 4 or 5, 6 or 7 are cop-out answers. How many is it going to go? 4, 5, 6, or 7? That's the answer. That's the question.
4 or 5
and
was answer A, 6 was B, and 7 was C. Because I think 4 or 5 you have to lump together because you can't see a sweep, right? I mean, there's nobody sweeping anybody.
I mean, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if we saw a sweep. No, I think 6. I think we're going to get a competitive series. I am inclined to agree that the Dodgers are going to win it. I just think they are the stronger team. They've, I don't even care about the experience thing. I know the Yankees haven't been there in a while, haven't won in a decade and a half, all that stuff. Like, who cares? I just think these Dodgers, the way they are hitting of late, I mean, and I will admit, I thought they were cooked against the Padres. I thought they were going to lose that series. And then to obviously, respond the way that they have, I think it's going to continue. And Lord knows, Shohei Ohtani is not afraid of the moment. That's going to be a dude who's going to represent and have himself a series. And who knows, maybe go yard tonight like Joe believes and George believes as well. But I think we're going to get a good series. I'm curious, and we'll step aside. Are you with us for one more segment, or are you taking off?
Here.
All right, so you're going to hang on a few more. So I want to know what you think of the total, because that to me is one of the more interesting bets in this series and in this game in particular. Is, are we going to get a boatload of runs like we did in both the ALCS and NLCS with each of these teams involved? What happens when they go head to head? We'll talk more with Sharapan when we come back.
Lost in Neyland to Tennessee, 24-17. Again, and look, that puts Alabama in a very tough spot. I was looking at the SEC standings just before. They've got 2 losses now in conference because they lost that Vandy game.
They're still one of the top-ranked teams in the country when they lose. Everyone else drops like a brick when they lose, except for Alabama.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
In-game live prime time is coming up after this program with Scott Wetzel, who was on earlier, and Dave Sharapan, who is on right now. I am Adam Kaufman. Thanks for being with us. This is Game Time Decisions. We're talking about Game 1 of the World Series, at least at the moment anyway. That starts up in about, 15 minutes, a little bit less than that. Dodgers hosting the Yankees for Game 1, obviously. We've a lot of support on this show for the Yankees in Game 1 at plus money on the money line. But let's talk about the total here, Dave, a little bit. It was 8.5. It's ticked up to 9. And I think a part of the reason, one, is all the MVP caliber talent and past regular season MVPs that are in these two lineups. That's definitely a part of it, but also recency bias. The NLCS Dodgers against the Mets. In those games, 9 runs, 10 runs, 8 runs, 12 runs, 18 runs, 15 runs. The Yankees in the ALCS matching up with the Guardians, 7 runs, 9 runs, 12 runs, 14 runs, 7 runs. People just expect scoring, and maybe this series will tell a different story, but at least for Game 1, people are hammering the over. Do you do the same?
No, I'm the book guy. I'm going to sit here and just, watch the number move, take the bets, and go, I don't know. Is it really that easy? It might be. I think we'll know early, and I think there'll be opportunity in game that if you like the under, which you're right, it's the small percentage, you'll be able to get the number under 9.5 or even under 10.5. Now that's where it really, if you want to gamble and wait and do that, that's fine. You might even be able to take the over 8 if you can still find it, or over 8.5, and then play a middle where you get 9, 10, and 11 working for you. That would be outstanding. But what if you get a scoreless inning in the first inning? Which is possible. I mean, I don't think it's automatic that, there's going to be a run, although if I was to bet yes run, no run in the first inning, I think somebody's going to score, which would then bump the total up, probably a full run. You'll be able to go under 9.5 or under 10.5 quickly. If there's no score, though, Adam, you'll be able to go over 7.5. The move after the first inning, if they get a clean inning, goes right to 7.5. So you can gamble by not making a pregame play and waiting for the in-game play. I think the game goes under. I do. But I think I like the Yankee team total over. I think they get the Flaherty. That's that like pregame, that's what I'm looking for. That's the plan. And like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. If it's 3-0 Dodgers, I'm going to be like, well, that plan is done.
Is that the play? I'm glad you brought it up, because we haven't, for many of our guests, for all the baseball we've been talking here on this show, we keep talking about how Flaherty has sucked here in the playoffs and how do we approach the full game total and all of that. Not one person, and I will own this as host of the program, I am in the wrong here. Not one person has brought up the Yankees team total. Is that the move versus the full game total versus even the Yankees on the money line? Because maybe the Dodgers get to the Yankees bullpen and they win it, walk it off, whatever it is the best play in this game outside of player props the Yankees team total?
It's one of them, yes. I loved booking the totals and then playing the totals because I can't always determine who's going to win the game, but I can have a really good feel for how the game's going to go. So, yes, if you think that Flaherty is going to give up a couple runs, you bet the team total over for the Yankees. If you think he's not, you could bet the game under. Or if you think that they're going to get to Cole, the Dodgers team total, it's extra, though. Like you're paying the price. The tax tonight is on the Dodgers stuff because they're home and because they got Shohei. So that's you find a number that's a little more favorable. Yes, Yankees team total. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Dave, you mentioned we spent a lot of time together on Pro Football Today on Mondays and Thursdays. That in mind, do you have a favorite play in the NFL this weekend?
I'm already looking forward to Monday when the Steelers play the Giants. The Steelers are going to smoke the Giants. I'm just telling you now. That's for all you New York guys waiting for something. But Sunday, are the Bears really favored on the road, Adam? Are the Bears really favored on the road?
They really are. Well, there's the uncertainty of the Jaden Daniels situation, obviously.
Yeah, well, keep an eye on Washington as a home dog. That's it.
All right, something to keep an eye on. Obviously, hell, they could win even with Mariota. Look what he did last time.
Wouldn't be the
when he
strangest
came
thing in
in
the world.
early. No, it wouldn't be. You can get Dave on Twitter at SportsbookKonsig, SportsBKKonsig. He's rooting on the Dodgers. Thanks to James, Tommy, George, Scott, Joe, Dave, everyone behind the scenes. Bye.